Have you ever met someone who always seems to have an answer? No hesitation, no uncertainty. No, I'm not sure. No matter the topic, they speak as if the discussion is already over. At first, that kind of confidence can feel impressive. People naturally assume that someone who sounds certain must know what they're talking about. But psychology has discovered something unexpected. The people who appear the most confident are not always the ones who understand the most. In fact, some of the least informed people are often the most convinced they're right. Why? Because real intelligence doesn't just change what you know. It changes how aware you become of everything you don't know. Let's look at why some people believe they have the answer to everything. First, they mistake familiarity for understanding. Reading a few articles, watching a couple of videos, hearing someone explain an idea. For many people, that already feels like mastery. Psychologists call this the Dunning-Kruger Effect. When someone's knowledge is still limited, they often don't realize how much complexity they're missing. Ironically, they don't know enough to recognize what they don't know. Imagine climbing a small hill. From the bottom, it feels like you've reached the top of the world. Only when you climb higher do you finally see the mountains beyond it. Knowledge works the same way. The more you genuinely learn, the larger your own ignorance begins to look. That's why beginners often sound absolutely certain, while experts are usually far more careful with their conclusions. Not because experts lack confidence, but because they understand how complicated reality actually is. Second, they rarely question themselves. The human brain loves certainty. It saves energy. Instead of examining every belief, our minds prefer quick conclusions that make the world feel predictable. But intelligent thinking requires something uncomfortable. It requires asking, what if I'm wrong? That single question changes everything. Psychologists have found that self-reflection is one of the strongest predictors of better judgment. People who regularly examine their own beliefs become better decision makers over time, not because they're always correct, but because they're willing to correct themselves. The opposite also happens. Someone who never questions their own thinking slowly builds confidence on foundations they've never tested. And confidence without reflection can become surprisingly convincing, even when it's completely disconnected from reality. And here's something interesting. We've only uncovered 2 of the psychological reasons. In part 2, we'll explore 3 more fascinating reasons why some people become so convinced they're always right, and why truly intelligent people often behave in the exact opposite way. Trust me, the next part might completely change the way you judge confidence. So if you don't want to miss part 2, subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next one.